Skid Row is no longer just a place for the homeless. It's where people discarded by the world end up. This is Shark Discovery, where we tell the stories no one else dares to tell. If you believe in the power of shedding light on realities like these, please hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Thank you. Have you ever walked down a street and quickly looked away? Not because you didn't care, but because you didn't know what to do. Skid Row is that kind of place. A place where every instinct in you says, don't look, just keep walking. But as you walk away, there's a part of you that knows you've left something important behind. Maybe it's compassion. Maybe it's a piece of your own future. I returned to Skid Row in early 2025, 3 years since I last set foot there. I thought I had mentally prepared myself for what I was about to see. But nothing can truly prepare you for a reality like this. What used to be a scattering of a few dozen tents has now become a massive settlement, not on any map but on the pavement beneath the skyline. According to the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, Skid Row alone is now home to over 3,800 unhoused people, with more than 2,100 of them having no shelter at all. What I saw wasn't just a group of people left behind, it was an entire parallel society living on the margins. Rows of makeshift tents made from plastic tarps and cardboard stretch across entire blocks. Some are set up right next to brightly lit restaurants and bars, just steps away. In that stark contrast, you start to realize Skid Row isn't on the outskirts of the city, it sits right in the heart of Los Angeles, like a wound that's never been stitched up. Someone is slumped over on the sidewalk, next to a half-used syringe. Someone else is sitting on the ground in front of an old storefront, clutching their only backpack like it's the last piece of themselves they have left. I struck up a conversation with Mark, 42 years old, tangled hair, long beard, and eyes that still held a strange brightness amidst the chaos. Mark used to be an architect. He had a family, a home, and once designed offices for companies he now doesn't dare step into. After the pandemic, his firm went under and his income disappeared. His wife left. The kids went to live with their grandparents. A year later, Mark was living on the sidewalk. No addiction, no criminal record, just not fast enough to outrun the collapse. At first, I still believed I'd bounce back, he said. But then you realize, no one's coming for you. They just walk around you. As I walked deeper into Skid Row, I realized what unsettled me wasn't the poverty itself. It was how normalized it had become. The first time you see someone shooting up in the middle of the street, you're shocked. The second time, you're angry. By the 10th time, you walk past without feeling anything at all. That's when a city starts to lose its soul. And when the absurd becomes part of the urban landscape, you have to ask, what's broken? Us or the society we've built? We often ask, how could a wealthy city like Los Angeles let this happen? The truth is, no one let it happen. It happened because too many small pieces collapsed all at once. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in LA is now over $3,300 a month. That's more than a 200% increase compared to 10 years ago. Meanwhile, the average full-time salary has only grown by 3 to 5% per year. The poor can't keep up. One lost job, one uninsured medical bill, one divorce. That's all it takes to end up in a tent. And it's not just about the economy. Since 1980, the federal government has cut funding for mental health care by over 50%. As a result, thousands of people with mild psychological issues never received early treatment, leading to paranoia, isolation, job loss, and eventually, a complete inability to reintegrate. 1/3 of the unhoused population in Skid Row say they've tried to get medical help, but were either denied or didn't qualify. The problem isn't them, it's the system. I met Jasmine, a 26-year-old woman who used to be a nurse. After being sexually assaulted by her ex-boyfriend, she fell into depression, lost her job, and had nowhere left to go. "I used to believe that if I just worked hard, everything would be okay," she said, her eyes fixed on nothing. "But then I realized, not everyone who falls gets a hand to help them up." Every night, she sleeps near an old bus stop. She's afraid of gunshots. She's afraid of silence too. Because in the silence, she remembers who she used to be and what she once dreamed of. And then there's Reggie, a veteran of the war in Afghanistan. He still carries a small American flag in his shirt pocket, like a bitter reminder. "When I wore the uniform, people saluted me. Now that I wear rags, they turn away," he said. PTSD keeps him from sleeping through the night. He's not an addict, but he sleeps next to those who are. He doesn't cause trouble, but he keeps a folding knife under his pillow. Survival in Skid Row isn't a right, it's a reflex. When you live among people no one even notices, you start to ask yourself, where do I still belong? And when an entire society chooses to look the other way, what's stopping us from becoming the next chapter in that story? But just when it seems like all hope is gone, I see small, yet persistent, glimmers of light. A volunteer group serves hot meals every night, even if it's only enough for a few dozen people. A van converted into a mobile clinic hands out medicine and dresses wounds. Formerly homeless individuals return to help, using their own experience to guide others. "I'm no angel," says a man who once battled fentanyl addiction. "I'm just someone who's been there and doesn't want anyone else to go through it." And then I heard about Housing First, a model that sounds almost too simple. Give homeless individuals a place to live first, then provide mental health, job, and medical support. Instead of requiring people to be stable before they get housing, this approach flips the process, and it works. According to HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, over 80% of participants in Housing First remain housed after 12 months, with significant drops in crime rates and public health care costs. When someone has a home, they have a chance to start over. The question now isn't, why don't they try harder? It's, how many barriers have we built that make trying almost impossible? And if that doesn't change, Skid Row won't just be a neighborhood. It'll become a repeating image across America. You might not live there. You might have never even set foot there. But all it takes is one life-altering event. Can you really be sure you'll never end up sitting beside them? If you're still listening to me, then maybe you're not willing to look away anymore. And that's enough to start. You don't need to hit the streets, hand out meals, or donate money. You just need to still see them as human. Because Skid Row isn't a destination, it's a warning. And if we still believe people are at the heart of society, then no one deserves to sleep on the street. No one deserves to be forgotten. If something I shared today touched a part of you, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Not to help, but to awaken. Because real change doesn't start with policy. It starts with someone who sees the truth and doesn't look away. See you in the next story as I head out on a volunteer journey to a truly unique place. Stay tuned.